Well, hey guys, I'm here trekking in the beautiful Rocky Mountains, and today we're gonna discover the 3 reasons why this hulking chunk of CPM 3V, which makes up the LIONSTEEL T6, has already achieved legendary status as a survival knife. But we're gonna run this up against its well-loved little brother, the T5, as well as its bigger cousin, the M7. To not only see how all 3 designs vary, but also how all 3 steels that they represent compare. To ultimately answer the question, even though it's awesome, is it truly the right tool for you? So thanks for hanging with me today, guys. I'm Aaron, this is Gideonstactical. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Wow, just perfectly balanced. And that is truly the first aspect that comes to mind to make this knife absolutely legendary, and it's balance. It's just so well balanced, both visually, you know, it's beautiful, like many things that come from Italy. It's elegant. Many midweight survival knives look like they fell off the ugly tree and hit every branch going down. That is not the case on this, but then they balance the weight perfectly on that guard, and it's 13.1 ounces. So this is a heavy hitter, guys. This thing freaking chops for its size. And it's going to be able to, because of the balance point, give you more finesse than a lot of like those giant choppers that are 8-9 inches. Yeah, they're gonna chop and delimb, and we'll talk about how that all compares with like the M7 and stuff in a little bit. But the finesse isn't really the name of the game with those large blades, and little compact blades that are 4.5, 5 inches, they're not going to do the heavy work like this. So it's able to maneuver itself into an area of midweight survival knives, which are, you know, jack of all trades. It's not gonna be as precise as those little knives. It's not gonna be as heavy hitting as the big knives. But for a do-everything tool, I gave this to my brother when we were out testing it, and it brought a smile to his face, because he was just like, oh my gosh, dude, this thing like fillets. And I'm like, I know, it really has the edge geometry and the grind angles to outperform many of similar midweight survival knives, and still be able to, you know, split through wood and not just kick out to one side. It really was able to do precision batoning if you needed to do that because of a task you're doing, and still easily delimb stuff, you know, that's like as thick as your wrist, just about. If this was your one tool option that you took with you and you needed to build a shelter or get, you know, break down wood, it's going to allow you to do that, but it's not going to skimp on like doing camp chores and camp work and cordage and doing all that, and it's going to have a better tip, more aggressive than many that are out there that tend to be more snub nose in this size range. Now in a moment I want to address the 3V steel, but I need to wet my whistle here real quick. What's that? You guys know what this is. This is my Swig rig from Hardside Hydration. I've been rocking these things forever. It gives me hands-free hydration, but I don't have to take up space in my pack with those cumbersome, you know, just a headache to clean hydration bladders. In fact, they're today's sponsor, so let's just take a moment. I just want to show you kind of how this little device operates, why I use it, and why it makes a lot of sense for me when I'm out here exploring and trekking around. So I love how adaptable this whole Swig rig system is, and how they're always innovating and kind of updating little features and aspects to these systems. Now, this is an uninsulated hose. You can get insulated hoses as well. The most updated version has this on-off switch right there for flow of water, as well as that nice dust cover right there. You can obviously cut the hose to size, and they're starting to add these little shut-off clamps, so you just squeeze them down and that'll actually shut off the water if you were like cleaning stuff and there was a little bit residual water in there. Easy to run through your pack because there's a secondary quick disconnect with a secondary shut-off clamp right there. This makes it easy to run through, clean, but what I often do is then if I get to camp, I just leave the hose attached, and now I have my water bottle, and I can just disconnect it, take sips and drinks when I need to, and then put that right back in there and cinch it down. And then when it's time to hit the trail again, I just put it in and connect it. And now, for those of you who don't want to have the extra weight of wide mouth water bottles like the Nalgene's and Yetis, they have the ultralight Swig rig as well that you can attach to any 28mm mouthed water bottle like a smart bottle, and that will cut a few ounces. So now there's a variety of options to choose from with these systems. So guys, I'm gonna have a link in the description box below this video over to the Hardside Hydration website, where you can explore all the features and capabilities that the original Swig rig as well as the ultralight series have to offer. And I will also include my exclusive 10% off promo code that you can apply towards your very first purchase. So I invite you to hop on over and check out all they got going on. Now I'm really glad that they chose Crucible CPM 3V steel on this knife. I really like it on larger tools that are going to endure a lot of impact, like a survival knife or a heavy duty chopper. It is very tough steel. It has pretty good corrosion resistance for the type of steel it is as well. If you're in a very high humid environment, I would go with one of the coated versions that are available. For where I live in the Rocky Mountains, we got snow and stuff, but it's so dry here all the time that the uncoated versions never show any rust, and if it is, it's very superficial that can easily be removed. Now, the toughness scale, it will be better than like A2, and the wear resistance will be better than A2 and D2, and I'm talking about like CPM D2, like good stuff. It will not have quite the edge retention and wear resistance that steels like S35 VN and S30V have. So those will hold their edge longer, but this will be much tougher, endure harder tasks for a much longer period of time with not fear of breaking. So hopefully that helps out a little bit when it comes to resharpening, since it is a knife you may be using out in the field. I've always found that CPM 3V steel is very easy to resharpen with like stuff like my Work Sharp field sharpener. I can do it like in 5 minutes easy. If there ever was damage done to a tool, or if it just needed to be honed up, no problem. So, and if you are interested, I'll have the links for those sharpeners. Those are always awesome and a great thing to have in a kit when you're out there camping, backpacking, and exploring. Now, to the second aspect of the T6, which makes it absolutely legendary, is its sheath. Because we have this large pancake design with lots of lashing points. You get that a lot with survival knives. It doesn't bother me. You know, taco is better for probably like EDC and those type of things. This means that there's a lot of malleable opportunities to carry. So well done in that regard.
Freaking silent. There is no rattle.
Get ready for this. It does have a hand button snap. I'm going to detach that just to show you here. Excellent tension, but not so tight that with the thumb ramp I can't deploy, and it is ready to rock and roll. I can now stab even in a reverse grip, snaps me into place, boom, and I'm ready to immediately deploy the blade. So, I mean,
phenomenal retention.
Phenomenal layout. Now it does, as I showed you, that strap, but if that strap's not for you, just pop it off, carry it that way on your belt. But if you need that extra, it spins, so righties and lefties, it's gonna fit great. If you want it to do that, then the nylon backer is ambidextrous, so you can unscrew it, swap it right or left. It is removable, so if you want to streamline the profile and put molly locks, Bladehq locks, or your own modified leather option or something, great. I think it's phenomenal how it is. It doesn't need to be, you know, changed in any way. And then we got two molly tabs right there that also have back feeders, so you can, you know, make it tighter, so you can again feed it through different packs or easily run it through your belt. And that makes the streamlined process of taking off a pack per se and then onto your belt to carry around camp very, very quickly. So 10 out of 10, 5-star. This T6 has one of the better Kydex sheaths for a survival knife I've literally ever seen, and I've seen quite a few over the past decade. Now, so the third aspect that makes this knife absolutely legendary in my book is this beautifully executed handle. Just look at that thing. It is beefy. Just the whole knife. If you like more like narrow, precise, you know, handles and blades, this knife is not for you. It's very broad, you know, the handle is very broad, large. I love that with my large size hands, but that's something to consider for those of you with smaller hands or you just like a narrower profile. This is not the right tool for you. For me, it's fantastic. They've contoured this super well in here, and all the shoulders have been machined so well. Great deep guard there for indexing, but still super thick, so it doesn't make my index finger float, so I can get up and do push cuts, stabbing. I'm in full control. I'm not gonna, you know, slide up and hurt myself. I can back up and get the velocity I want on that bird beak. It doesn't create any sort of shock or hot spots on my hand. Because of that, you do have that lanyard hole. Now, what's really cool about this is, and I've all three, the T5, M7, which we're about to look at, and this T6 are all like this. It's a single piece of micarta that has been canoed, and they drop the full tang construction in there. So you can see, you know, it's not like a partial tang or anything, and then they bolt it on. Now, what's really interesting, and a quick shout out to Robert Kaufman, who shared this photo of his T5, and they're all designed this way. All the models are designed this way. So there's no like craziness going on there. It's just a little bit narrower, but I've had zero shock, zero rattle, zero problems. None of my three have ever broken, and I think I've tested about 1,000 fixed blades because I have 2,000 uploads on YouTube, and about half of those I think are fixed blades over the years. Maybe not to the level that Joe X, we love you here at the channel. Wish you the best, buddy. But definitely putting blades through the paces over the years. I have never had a knife break in the handle. Maybe loosen up if it's like a Craton overmold or something like that. But it's all, if a knife is broken, it's always the tip is broken, or there's been like a bend or a wave or a shock, or it's just snapping up in the blade where you're like batoning. So the tangs are super robust, 3V steel on that thickness. I mean, I'm not even like blinking at it. The durability level is there, and it's not going to create a hot spot anywhere gripping this tool for me and being able to manipulate. And one final aspect, if you want to throw sparks, all the edges are rounded except for this little portion right here, very sharp little area. It doesn't, I've never like nicked it and like bothered me when I'm chopping, but that's where you're gonna be able to throw sparks. It will launch sparks. It's a little awkward to manipulate the blade, to be honest with you. It can be done, absolutely, as you just saw, but I would have preferred to probably just have a sharpened portion of the spine. You could do that if you want to. That just, to me, is a lot more easy to manipulate, but it is doable, and there is a portion to throw sparks off of this blade in the handle. But the handle is totally legendary and fills out my hand and does exactly what I would want a midway survival knife handle to accomplish. Now to my favorite part of any video, and potentially the most important part of any video like this, where we're gonna take a look not only at the price and the value of the T6, but also how does it stack up to competitive options, which is how we really get to determine, does this make sense? Does this really fit the need that you may have in your kit when you go on your outdoor adventures, whatever system you're building, your go bag, whatever it is, or are there better alternatives, regardless if it's because of price point or because of just overall performance, depending on what you're looking for. Now, I do appreciate LIONSTEEL hooking me up with this particular sample so I could really run it through its paces, break it down, and show you guys those pros and cons so that you can make that wise choice. And when I am making the content in this video, I'm really surprised this has dropped at certain distributors quite a bit. When this came out and was released, it was going for about $300, give or take. And that is where you're gonna see it probably for most distributors, but I'm seeing it in certain places come down all the way to like $250, which is wild. So $250. So if you can score it for that, that's great. The normal going rate is around $300. So anywhere in between there, and depending on coated, uncoated, different color handle scales will also affect that, and distributors. And I'll have links in the description box below to all the affiliate networks that I regularly partner with. So that if you feel like this model or other blades I'm running in here makes sense, and it's time to pull the trigger, always appreciate it when you guys check out those tools through the hyperlinks provided. Now, this is like the 100th time I've tried to do this portion where we're running in the LIONSTEEL models because it's just taking so long. There's so much to unpack. So I'm gonna have to do a separate dedicated video to like the whole LIONSTEEL collection and really like 10-minute video, because otherwise this video is gonna be 30 minutes. So I'm gonna try to highlight just really fast and run this down for you. T5 here, obviously dwarfed by its big brother, but you're gonna get very similar handle, material, style. Great blade. This is the first LIONSTEEL fixed blade I ever purchased, and it just blew me away, and is a very, very capable belt knife. And so if you're looking for a knife that runs really well in tandem with other tools, hatchets, saws, those type of things, this is a great option. Or if you want something that's maybe for an LBE system, a battle belt, you're looking for a combat utility knife more so, that can still do excellent work in the outdoors. This will outperform the other two, the zero tolerance and the cold steel, in outdoor work all day long because of its grind and better ergonomics for that, but still being very piercy. So, and it's great value at like 150 to 180. So you could potentially save yourself $100. Now, this is gonna have stainless steel in the nylocks. To give you some weight perspective, this is 9.5, this is like 13.5. It took me 150 chops on a piece of pine to take it out, but it still had a great edge, no chipping, no rolling on that Nylox steel. So I was very impressed with its capability, but it's gonna take 50 more swings than it would with the T6. T6 took about 100 on the same piece of wood, and also had great edge retention through that. But I was really pleasantly surprised, and it will have a great value. This one will have the leather sheath with MOLLE compatibility. It'd be awesome to see just some like Kydex version in the future, even though this is a great leather sheath. Now on the flip side, we got the M7, in Sleipner steel. obviously larger, but even though it's larger, it's only about 1.5 ounces heavier. But all of that weight is forward facing, which means it is a much better chopper than the T6. So much so, it only took 50 chops to chop through that same piece of wood that took 100 with the T6. So it is significantly better at the heavy duty survival tasks. Shelter building, wood processing, all of those things. It's going to have that choil to help outbalance, the blade and give you better overall feel. Obviously a blunter tip, not as aggressive for piercing and stabbing, and won't be as agile as the T6. The Sleipner steel, though, held up well and has always held up well for me. It won't be as tough as CPM 3V. CPM 3V is obviously the best overall, I would say, for outdoor use steel of all the ones that we're looking at here because of its durability and also good wear resistance. But the Sleipner is nothing to balk at, and you're getting quite a bit of knife for about $200, give or take. You can find them sometimes for like $190 or up to like $220, depending on what you're looking at. So if you don't own any of the blades in this series, but you're considering one of them for your next backwoods adventure, the T6 is the best of both worlds. You're getting a more aggressive stance and piercing capability like the T5, but you're able to still do a lot of heavier work tasks, and you don't have to grip up on a choil if you want to do the finer work. But for someone like myself who owns all three now, this knife is actually going to see the least amount of use because it is a survival knife, which means it's good at a lot of different tasks, but it's not great at any specific task. It's not great with finesse and piercing and quick in the hand, and it's not great at chopping and the heavy work. It can do both adequately, legendary for this type of blade, but if I want something that's lighter and quicker in the hand, I'll just be taking the T5. And if I want a truly dedicated survival knife to delimb and split logs and build fires and test out my shelter building skills, well, I'm gonna take the M7 because it'll outclass it in those type of tasks. And therefore, it kind of feels a little bit like it's lost in between the two if you own the other two. But as a dedicated one-tool option, it is mind-blowing to say the least. So guys, that is me and my mileage. I look forward to hearing from you guys. What's your experience with the T6? Or if you own, let's say all three, you're just a LIONSTEEL addict like I've basically become, what model do you find carrying the most? Maybe it is the T6. Maybe not. I always appreciate you guys hanging with me today. Check out the other video popping up, and I do invite you to subscribe. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.